Well, you've made it back to a college football Friday. Congratulations to you. We're so pumped here as we're going to preview the Texas at Kentucky game, as well as some of the other big ones going on around the SEC. It is a final takes Friday, as we are wont to do around here on Football with Friends. So pumped to have you here with us. Of course, so pumped to have our great presenting sponsor, the Man Eye Institute. Make sure and give them a call, 844-WOW-2020, 844-WOW-2020. See life better with the Man Eye Institute for all your LASIK needs, all your vision needs, cataracts, whatever it is. They have you covered there all over Central Texas. They'll get you set up. See life better, 1-844-WOW-2020. Thanks to our presenting sponsor, the Man Eye Institute. All right, Cody. Big weekend coming up. I'm going to get some steaks on the grill. I'm going to use the Alpha seasoning, of course. You can get that at alphaseasoning.com or at Hudson Meat Market, where I went by today, where they're selling product, thanks to everybody who's picked some up there, or at Texas Beef Traders. What do you think? Score predictions to start?
Well, I just want to say first off, you brought up two things that I wanted to just touch on quickly. One is big weekend. And according to Chuck Dunlap, the media guy for the SEC, the first ever weekend of 8 SEC football games.
Is that right?
Oh, yeah, okay. Because last year was the first year, obviously, with 16 teams, so that would be the only way you can have 8. And there was just the buys never aligned right. And this year, the buys aligned right. October 18th, 8 SEC football games. So kind of exciting. As you can see, I'm smiling.
My long-lost cousin, Chuck.
And secondly, yeah, I think you should use some alpha, but hopefully working on another project and taste testing that as well on these steaks. I'd like to hear some feedback on that as well.
Yeah, we certainly are, man. Keep your eyes on alphaseasoning.com, where you can get our great seasonings from Cody and Alex here to support your boys. All right, score prediction. Texas, Kentucky.
Score prediction. I've been kind of hot. I'm not going to lie. Was one of just 2 people on the staff last week to pick Texas. I'm picking Texas this week. I'm not picking the upset. I'm not picking Kentucky. I'm not doing that. 41-9, Texas Longhorns. The last 5 quarters, I know they lost to Florida. I get that. But the fourth quarter against Florida and then the whole game against Oklahoma, the last 5 quarters, and the reason I did that cutoff was because that was a Dallas Wilson touchdown against Florida, was happened at the end of the third quarter. So the last 5 quarters, the last 14 drives on defense, 0 red zone snaps, 0 drives have ended up in the red zone, 6 punts, 4 interceptions, 2 turnovers on downs, and 2 field goals allowed. They're averaging 3.57 yards per play allowed, which would be number 1 in the sport if we were counting that way. Again, that's the last 5 quarters, not the last 5 games. If they can continue this trend, I think it's going to be a dominant performance. We have seen Kentucky do well on like one drive to begin a game. One drive against Ole Miss to start of the game. One drive against South Carolina. They get up 7-0 and they lose. One drive against Georgia in the second quarter. They score, get that thing within 14-7, and then they lose 35-14. I think Texas's defense is the best defense among those 3 teams. I don't think they score a touchdown. I think they score 3 field goals. 41-9. Texas dominates.
I just don't see how they gets to it. I think at a certain point in that game, you got to quit trying to kick field goals if the script goes like that.
I don't think Texas gives up a backbending drive. Like they've had these 75-yard drives against these other teams. I think they get down that first drive of the game, get 3. It might be 3-0 Kentucky. I think they have another drive in the second quarter or first quarter that gets them 3 more. They might score 6. And then the fourth quarter, you just end up taking a field goal just because you're tired of punting.
That's so cockamamie, dude. There's no way it's gonna be 3. Like if they're gonna, I could see it if you're saying the game ended up like 20-9 or something like that. I could see it maybe being 13 points to 6 at some point, and they decided to. So no, I guess that wouldn't be.
If you were down
17-6 and you decided to, yeah,
if you're Stoops and you're down 28. You're down 27-6. You taking a field goal?
Well, I mean, you have to tell me what's the down and distance? What yard line am I on?
35-yard line, 4th and 13. You're taking a field goal because you're making it an 18-point game, which is 2 touchdowns and a field goal.
Well, a touchdown, a 2-point conversion, a touchdown, an extra point, and a field goal.
Yeah.
but okay.
Completely cockamamie.
I'm going to go with them. I'm going to go with something that's a little bit easier for me to picture. I think Texas does win this one. 31-10 was my prediction.
One more point.
What?
One more point.
But that's just settling for a field goal once and not settling for a field goal 3 times whenever,
I can win 2 ways, though. Here's the thing. I can win 2 different ways. I can win on 3 field goals or a field goal and a touchdown with a missed extra point. You have to land on the exact.
Okay. So 31-10. I think that the offense gets it done. I think that the defense certainly gets it done. And I think that last touchdown might be one that just kind of comes at the end. One of these kinds of plays.
Touchdown for Kentucky or for Texas?
For Kentucky.
Gotcha. So you're dominant. That's a dominant. That's 31-3. That's a dominant performance for the majority.
Yeah, I think that. I think that the Texas look. Whenever I saw the Texas defense, we talked last week about how if the Texas defense can come in and they can assert themselves and they can say, look, we know that the nation's leading offense is not walking through that door to play against Oklahoma, right? We know it's not going to happen, but it is within the realm of possibility that the nation's leading defense walks in that door versus Oklahoma. We can do that. We have the personnel to be that kind of, the personnel, the continuity, everything to be that kind of unit. And I'm not saying that they showed up and looked like the best defense in the land, but they showed up and they looked like a team that you could argue is among the tops in the land. And I think that's going to continue in this game. And then on the offensive side of the football, I guess this was getting to our MVP talk, right? Like my MVP for this one, it could be chalk to say it, but for me, I'm going to go right back to the well with Trey Wisner and just say, man, this is a guy that, this is an SEC road game at night. You want to take the crowd out of it, as much of the crowd as I guess the crowd at Kroger Field is probably not one as daunting as, trying to take the crowd out at the Swamp or, Death Valley or something like that. But, how do you do that? You establish, you establish the run. You play good defense. You take the air out of the football. And I think that with the way that we were able to see some of these explosives pop off last week in the run game, I'm legitimately thinking that Trey Wisner probably is healthier than he's been. And the way that we've judged him coming into this game was based on situations where it was like either in super tough matchups or in spots where he was just still kind of coming back to fully healthy. So I'm going to give him the benefit of the doubt as far as being fully healthy. I love the way that they got the outside zone run going last week. I think they can do it again. I know that they're going to be down their starting center, but Cole Hudson hasn't been a plus player anyway. It's the question is, can Connor Robertson be just that kind of middling, barely serviceable type of player? I think he probably can against this defense. If you look at him statistically, is like the worst in the SEC in a bunch of different categories, if not worse, second, third worst. So I think that they can be had. I think that this is not necessarily a strength versus a weakness, but it is an ascending unit versus a weak unit, right? When you look at the Texas offense versus the Kentucky defense, and it is a possibly dominating unit on defense against what it looks like a middling at best kind of offensive attack to me, where even with giving all the credit in the world to Stoops, I don't think it's going to be close. And I think it's going to be on the back of Trey Wisner. Who is your MVP?
It's interesting. The direction that we both went here, different. Usually kind of we end up sometimes on the same trajectory. I do think it'll be quick to take this crowd of whatever this crowd's going to be out of the game. I had some of the comments that I found over in the KSR board this week, and some of them was in response to Sark's comments about this game being a little bit of a war for Texas and how they're treating it. I thought one of the comments was pretty great. This guy said, in quote, "I wonder how the bow and arrow will fare against the machine gun." And that was his explanation of Kentucky against Texas. My MVP is going to be Arch Manning. In 8 starts, Arch Manning has 3 games where he's been responsible for 5 touchdowns in those games. UTSA last year, San Jose State this year, Sam Houston State this year. None of those are Power 5. I talked about Ryan Wingo a couple of weeks ago, where his whole career, he had yet to crest 50 yards against a Power 5 opponent. He did that 2 weeks ago against Florida. I think this is the time that Arch Manning crests through. 5 touchdowns responsible for Arch Manning in this game. He scores all 35 points on his back, whether it's 2 rushing, 3 passing, or 4 passing, 1 rushing. I think Arch Manning is your MVP.
Hold on. What's your score prediction again? 41-9?
Yeah.
Okay, so you have Arch Manning 5 touchdowns and two field goals.
Yep.
Okay. I'll take the Mason Shipley Moores on Prize Picks for sure, right?
I think he's 7.5.
5 plus 3 plus, so that's 11 kicking points.
Or 2 field goals, which also hits. I think it's 1.5 field goal, I think is the number.
So you and I both like Texas minus the 12.5 or whatever.
Yeah.
Let's talk about some of these other SEC games. You got to get your predictions in. Oh, well, hey, what about tonight? You think Louisville has any shot against Miami? It looks like they're between 10 and 12-point favorites here in this one at home.
I doubt it. I mean, this is a kind of a vintage spot where Miami would generally drop it. Miami generally get caught like with their pants down against Virginia Tech or a Pittsburgh
they got caught with their pants down last year against these guys.
That's what I'm saying. And Virginia Tech almost got them in a night game like this.
Was that last year or the year before?
I think Louisville was year before. Virginia Tech was like the near spot last year, I want to say. Georgia Tech was in there as well. It's always been like these Friday night spots tend to get Miami, but this one's in Miami. If you're in Miami, it's like a $12 game to go watch. I don't know if I would pay $12. I probably would if I was.
It was Louisville 2 years ago that it was they took out. Was it Florida State or was it Miami?
I think no, because Florida State went undefeated, right?
Oh, I don't know. It might have been Miami.
I think
it was during my film work on one of these guys.
Lole?
Yeah.
Was it Lole? So let me look at 24 for Louisville. They lost to Miami 52-45. They beat a Clemson on a Saturday. That wasn't that was the Friday though. And they beat Notre Dame 2 years ago.
Did they beat Florida State?
They lost to Florida State in the ACC championship 16-6. Oh, that might have been the game you watched though, because remember that Florida State, that just putrid 16-6 game with no Jordan Travis. Okay, that might have been.
I forget. I think my wires are getting a little bit crossed on all this ACC talk.
You know what ACC game I am interested to see though tonight is this 10:30 kickoff, North Carolina against Cal. I just found the stat earlier. This is the first time in Bill Belichick's history of coaching that he's playing in a game that's kicking off after 10 p.m. Eastern time.
Are you kidding?
Yep. 10:30 Eastern time kickoff.
Oh, gosh.
NFL never had a game after 8:30, right?
I wonder if Lombardi's making the trip in from Saudi Arabia. I wonder what time it is out there. All right.
I wonder if Belichick's going to be able to stay awake for the whole game.
Yeah, if he's not, his girlfriend would go down there and slap him around. All right, what do you think of LSU at Vanderbilt? Vanderbilt is favored here by, but I was seeing the line at like -2.5 for Vanderbilt, but now you see it in some spots at -1.5. Looks like some money's coming on LSU.
I think we're cooking the grits too much on this whole situation. I like Vandy. I respect Vandy, but I think Nussmeier is going to be healthy here. I don't think LSU's dominant. I think that there's too much conversation right now around Brian Kelly, like just too much low key conversation. This isn't like Hugh Freeze, Billy Napier level or James Franklin level. Cause I mean, they're 5-1, but I think that he hears that volume coming down the track, and Nussmeier is going to be healthy coming off a bye. I think this is a game they come in here and they smash Vanderbilt, because then they have two games back to back against A&M and Alabama. I think they'll lose both of those, but I think they smash Vanderbilt this week.
Yeah, I'm not with you that they smash them, but I would be taking the LSU money line here as well. I do think that LSU wins outright, even though I'm not. I do not understand all you and McShay and you guys, your love for Nussmeier. We have a whole offseason to talk about that. Oklahoma, South Carolina getting 5 points at home here in this one. Both teams with, both teams need a win bad. Both these teams need to win bad. Do you think the Mateer comes through here as a road favorite?
Would you go to this game? I'm like really debating going to it. It's like an 11 a.m. kickoff. I sort of think Mateer gets. I sort of think this has like the makings of a sort of a classic game because I think both these quarterbacks, like
It's a good game for scouting QBs, man. Both
Yeah.
these quarterbacks are probably going to be in the, I mean, both these quarterbacks are probably going to be in this draft.
Sellers is trending up a little bit.
Yeah.
And Mateer's got his back against the wall. This team knows what's coming down the track if anybody does. And I think this is gonna be a good one. I think Oklahoma beats them by like 1 or 2.
Okay. I think that, so you think South Carolina covers?
Yeah.
I have South Carolina covering. I'm not sure that I'm going to have them to win outright. So you and I completely agree so far. All right. So we have I'm trying to look. So A&M plays Arkansas
And then you have the game day game too.
at Arkansas. That's the game day game?
No. And then the game day game is Ole Miss, Georgia.
Oh, right. So A&M, Arkansas is 7.5-point underdogs at home. You think A&M keeps it rolling here? Arkansas looks a little bit better with Petrino.
And that classic new coach situation. This is a no Le'Veon Moss.
No.
I think this is the first time they've played in Fayetteville since 2013. And that was a 45-33 game, and A&M was ranked 10th in the country at that time. I think Taylor Green makes this thing interesting, but I just think Texas A&M's got too much firepower.
So do you think they win by 7.5?
I kind of think that's a good number. Yeah, I'll take A&M to cover.
All right, so I'm on the opposite side. I take Arkansas. Okay, and then finally, I mean, I don't care about Mississippi State, Florida, but what about Ole Miss? I care about Mississippi State.
Give me the Bulldogs.
I'm going to watch it. Ole Miss, Georgia. What do you got?
Georgia.
Georgia to win or Georgia minus 6.5?
That game's at 6. Wait, what? I thought that was a field goal.
No.
Oh my gosh.
It's 6.5.
No, give me Ole Miss to cover that. I see 7.5 at ESPN Bet too. Yeah, I love that. I love that. I like Georgia to win. I think Ole Miss covers though.
Trey Wisner, over or under 84.5 rushing yards against Kentucky?
Over. Texas gets their first 100-yard rusher of the season.
Love it.